USMF in Dongguan. We're very honored today to have Joey from China, and he's the leader of USMF development, so we're very happy to have him here. Any USMF questions, pull in the answer. We also have Fiona King, who is our product manager, also as well as USMF. This is a voting share. Is there any candidates in the room? Okay, please don't forget to do your session evaluation. This will be a lot of information in this presentation, so if you can hold on to your questions until the end, that would be appreciated. Okay, thanks, Joey.
Thanks. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. So welcome to session for USMF 3.1, Joey from the USMF development team. So joining me today is Fiona, who is our USMF product manager. So it's been almost 4 years since my last year, so I feel very great to be here again and talk about the USMF updates to you in person. So the USMF today is a global effort. So my team covers USMF core, which is also USMF framework, and USMF REST APIs, and also perhaps 2/3 USMF plugins. So we also have, SMP team covers software management and software update plugin, and we have communication server covers the network configuration assistant plugin as well as VRT plugin. So we have MSC team covers MSC management service catalog, and we also have some external plugins like SDSF, RMF, etc. So to level set, what I'm going to cover today is all about the great parts. But for other plugins, other colorful plugins, we also have dedicated sessions this week. So feel free to join these sessions to learn more about USMF plugins. Now I'd like to go through all the great updates about USMF 3.1. So start with the web UI-based plugin enhancements that intend to reduce learning curve and also improve USMF. So we will start with USMF desktop lightweight widgets, which are built into the USMF desktop UI. So before we start, may I ask how many of you already know about the search and edit datasets from the USMF desktop taskbar, which is in the right bottom column. So how many of you know that? Okay, thanks. So how many of you actually use it? Please? Okay, thanks. So actually this is the most favorite part I like about the USMF. So prior to the USMF 3.1, these built-in widgets already support some modernized experience, such as hypertext search for datasets and USS files. We have built-in modernized editor. You can do a lot of dataset and USS file editing from USMF UI. We have syntax highlight. We provide the template-based dataset allocation as well as the create-like function. So with USMF 3.1, we added several more enhancements about the USMF desktop lightweight widgets. So that includes, firstly, support opening multiple search windows. So that means that you don't have to, if you want to do multiple search, you don't need to switch back and forth in the search criteria that you can specify on the top. And the next function, the next enhancement is about upload or download the dataset and USS files. So to download the dataset or dataset member, so you only need to use the context menu and select some public object from the USMF desktop search window. And if you do that, a download task will be automatically created in your browser. So that will download the dataset or USS file to your local laptop. And the second thing is about upload. So you can use the context menu, or you can simply drag the local file from your laptop and drop it in the search window. That will create a new dataset or a new USS file in the US. So you can select two USS files or two data sets, from the search window, and then, if you choose to compare them, the pop-up dialog will show you, how many differences between these two files. And we have the side window, you can quickly, get a reference about how many differences there are, and you can use these two icons to search for next difference or previous difference. And we also support you to, copy the difference from left side to the right side, or, from right side to left. And once you've done the merge, you can use this save icon to save all the changes back to ZOS with one. And we also added more, operations about USS files that include, for example, copy, rename, change mode, change owner. All that can be done, from the ZOSMF desktop search window. So next is about a new plugin in ZOSMF. So it's all about managing the AI framework for ZOS. So as you might already know, the AI framework for ZOS is a big thing for 3.1. So it provides the capability to infuse AI into your ZOS operating system. So it includes several components such as the CDP for data collection, the model server, which is the lightweight version of Mercy machine learning for Z, and we also have an AI bridge here that is the bridge between between the exploiter, the traditional exploiter, and the rescue of And the ZOSMF provides the centralized interface for you to manage the whole framework. So that's the plugin named the AI Control Interface for ZOS. And we have several sessions this week to specifically talk about this AI framework. So if you want to learn more details about this framework, you're encouraged to join any of these sessions. So a little bit more details about the plugin itself. Once you've done the configuration of AI framework through ZOSMF workflows, the plugin basically will display the list of exploiters on the left side, and also display the system list which are eligible for the AI adoption, because you already completed the setup of the framework. And once you select any system, you can choose to train or retrain the model, and you can also do some model-related settings such as enable, disable, or simulate the AI adoption. And we also display the training status in the second column. So that's about the plugin. Again, if you want to learn more details about this plugin, you will join these sessions I mentioned in the previous page. Next is about our Sysplex management plugin. So it's a big plugin in ZOSMF. So prior to 3.1, it already supports graphic interface to display all the Sysplex topology and also Sysplex resources. So you are also able to modify the Sysplex resources from the graphic interface with select and click operations. And we have a dedicated graphic interface-based CFM policy editor that you can edit the CFM policy with the help of best practice duty support. So with 3.1 and also our continuous delivery, we added a lot enhancements into this plugin. So I will go through them one by one. The first enhancement is about the bulk copy of CF structures. So besides of the bulk editing of structures we already supported before, we now added the new support for bulk copy. So basically, you can select multiple structures, and with one single action, we can copy them at a time. And we also support update the structure name in batch and also exclusion links. So we believe that the graphic view-based CFM policy editor has several advantages. Therefore, in order for you to take advantage of CFM policy editor as much as possible, we introduced the import function. So you can use this import function to import your policy So we also support export function. So we would choose to export the policy to some dataset or USS file. So if we find any content already existing in the target dataset, we also provide a new file difference function that you can trigger, that you can open a compare window so that you can see what's the difference between your updated policy and the policy in the target dataset. So in terms of export function, we also support you to export policy to CSV files. So that's basically also can be done by one click. So from here, export to CSV. So we will generate two CSV files. One contains the data for company facility, and the other one contains all the data that you can see from this table, for CF structures. So we also support the compare function right in the ZOSMF CFRM policy table. So basically you can select any two policies and then choose to compare the difference. So this is the exactly the same compare window I introduced earlier for ZOSMF testing. And once you are done with the CFRM policy editing, we also support you to view the difference, to see what kind of changes you made to your policy before you submit the change to the dataset. So we added a big thing in 3.1, which is to support CF sizing right in the ZOSMF Sysplex management plugin. So basically, we intend to replace the old way, which is CF sizer web application, because of several reasons I mentioned here. So our goal is that not only kind of adding CF sizing into ZOSMF Sysplex management plugin, but also provide a significant improvement in terms of user experience improvement over the existing sizing method, which is the web application. So specifically, we are going to support, we support the consistency of user sizing input, and we are able to map the sizing result to multiple CF structures, and you can size multiple structures basically with one single action. And also we support you to calculate structure sizing based on different CF libraries, CF levels we selected. So from implementation perspective, we introduced a new ZOSMF managed object, which is named the CF sizing definition. So basically, you can use this object to persist in the sizing inputs. So we can calculate the sizing result, then you can kind of associate the sizing definition with multiple structures. And once that's done, then you can kind of size the CF structures with the associated sizing definition. So this is how it works, right? With some screenshots. So basically, we added a new tab, which is CF sizing, into the CFRM policy editor. So in this table, you should be able to see the list of sizing definitions that you defined in the Sysplex management plugin. So if you extend the size definition by click on the arrow icon, in the beginning of the line, you will see all the content defined in this sizing definition. That includes your input and also our calculated result, and also the list of structures associated with the sizing definition. So this is the dialog that you can add a new sizing definition or modify the sizing definition. As I mentioned earlier, there are basically 4 sections in the sizing definition that includes the product or function to be used for sizing, and the input parameters here. And once you click on this blue button, this is the sizing result we calculated, and on the bottom is the list of structures that you can associate with the sizing definition. So once you associate the sizing definition with structures, Then back to the CFRM policy editor where we display the list of structures. You can select multiple structures and click on this blue button to size multiple structures at a time. So we will pop up a dialog, show you the details of the sizing change. That includes firstly, how many sizing definitions, what kind of sizing definitions will be used for this size change action, and also the second panel show you what exact sizing change will happen for each structure. And if the calculated sizing, if the target sizing is smaller than the original one, we will also have warning icons. Okay, so the next thing is about the security configuration area. So specifically, it's about enhancement of security configuration system plugin. So this is a plugin that we initially designed to help with USMF security configuration. However, the framework is kind of generic. That's why we already supported the external products. So basically, this is a plugin that is able to display sub-resource-based security requirements by product or by function. And once you see all the security requirements in the graphic interface, then you will be able to automatically validate all the security requirements by user ID or by user group. And also, it's self-based, and therefore we provide a consistent user experience for different security products. So USMF 3.1 and the continuous delivery added two enhancements about this plugin. The first one is the SDSF support. So basically, you can import the security descriptor file shipped by SDSF into SCA plugin. So that can be done by this import button. So previously, in order to import the security descriptor file into SCA, you need to upload the file to the USMF data file system, data directory. So with this APAR, continuous delivery, we enhanced the SCA plugin so that you can basically specify any parts for your security descriptor file. So once you import that file into SCA, just like SPSF security requirements, right? So they will be displayed in the SCA UI, and you can basically take advantage of all the SCA capability. So talking about SCA capability, here is the second enhancement, which is to fix the security failure. So basically, when you use the validation function, you will find that what kind of security requirements have been parsed, what kind of security requirements have been failed. So with the security failure, you can select them and then fix them with a few clicks. So basically, we generate the commands that is able to fix the security failure. So we understand that security commands could be flexible. So what we support today is basic security commands that doesn't consider all the flexibility. So for instance, whether it's generic profile, resource profile, or discrete resource profile, whether you want to commit the access by user ID or by group. So although we haven't considered those kind of flexibility, we still think that the generated commands will be helpful, because first, you might not have dedicated support from security administrator for some environment like sandbox system, right? And secondly, it will be helpful for the communication between system administrator and security administrator, because we already validated all the required security requirements. We generate the command that is able to be understood by the security administrator. So if you are authorized to submit those commands, you only need to click on this blue button, submit. Then we should be able to fix the security failure and then validate the security requirements again. Just to tell you that whether our command has been successfully executed to fix the security failure. So next enhancement is about incident log. So incident log is a plugin in USMF which supports to send agnostic data to support him. So now we added support for PDU with HTTPS, which ensures the more secure data transmission. So here is an enhancement about the USMF systems types. So systems table or plugin is the place that we define, the topology information that are required by the USMF plugins to do cross-sysplex communication. So over time, there are more and more, USMF scenarios that require cross-sysplex communication, such as software deployment scenario. Therefore, we added a menu item, which is validated status, from in the systems table. So that is a menu item that allows you to validate the communication status between the local USMF and the selected target, sysplex, eventually to be the USMF server that serves for the remote sysplex. So that's all about our web UI-based plugins enhancements that hopefully would help you to reduce the learning curve for managing the OS. And secondly, let's check out the enhancements that we delivered for our REST APIs, which could help you to easily drive the OS operations. So firstly is about the storage management REST APIs. So we started to introduce these storage management REST API from V2R5. So before 3.1, we support you to use REST API to retrieve information on volume and also storage group. Now with 3.1, we added more REST APIs such as retrieve information on data class, storage class, the REST API that you can use to add volumes into storage group, and also validate or activate the SMS so this is a new REST API that you can use to retrieve syslog messages. Basically, you can specify a timestamp as the beginning point, and then you can specify whether it's forwards or backwards to retrieve the syslog messages. And also you can specify a time range, which means how long you would like to retrieve the message back. And also, it supports both oplog and syslog. Next is a REST API that helps you to retrieve the runtime value of the OS system symbols. So this is an enhancement that we use the system variable REST API URL. So basically, you can use source to determine whether it's to retrieve value of system variable or value of system symbol. And also we support you to retrieve value of individual symbol or even all symbols and one REST API call. And also we expose our sysplex management capability through REST APIs. So this is the REST APIs that you can use to drive CFRM policy updates. Next is about our REST API for SCA-based capability. So the first thing is about security validation I mentioned earlier, right? So now you can also use REST API to drive this SCA capability. So basically what you need to do is just to describe your security requirements like this. It's pretty simple. Just tell us what resource profile and what condition you would like to define as a security requirement. So this is all you need to provide. And then we take care of all the flexibility and sometimes it's complexity, and also handle the difference of security products on the cover. So we just tell you, we just return you the validation result, whether it's passed or failed. And the next REST API is about provision or fix the security failure. Actually, we're using the same format of security requirements. Therefore, you can use the same security requirement descriptor, to either validate or provision the security configuration. So if we found that the security requirement is already satisfied, we only do validation, we don't do any system change. However, if any security requirement is not satisfied yet, we will then use the provision capability try to fix that security failure. Next is about our REST dataset and file API enhancements. So basically, there are several enhancements here. The first thing is about you can specify the account number and also region size or procedure name in the request header so that you don't need to specify a common one for all the users. And also we published a guide that could help you to how to tune ZOSMF REST dataset and file API for big volume or concurrent requests. And we also support create or deleting USS symbol links or mount the file system with no set UI option. So this is about enhancement of REST job API. So we kind of removed the sync dependency for REST job API so that you can simplify the configuration in order to use the asynchronous job notification function. And we even enhanced the job notification to support more events, such as when job is submitted or job starts execution. So previously, the job notification only applies to the event that the job is completed. So we kind of added 2 more events. Okay, so the last thing is about unleash ZOSMF capability to Ansible automation. So as REST API is very easy to be consumed, therefore we also kind of added ZOSMF Ansible collection that's able to drive ZOSMF REST API capabilities through Ansible playbook. So we already support a list of functions today in the collection. So that includes the Ansible modules to drive workflow, drive the security SC-based function, and also to generate software query reports and to drive the management service catalog services. Okay, so that's all about our REST API enhancements. And next, I'd like to talk about our enhancement about workflow. The first thing is about supporting the signing step and also run the step under a different user ID. So that would be helpful, when you need to perform a workflow automation under different user IDs. So firstly, let's check out some terminologies before we check out how it works. The first term is run as user. So that is a user ID that you run the workflow step under. So the second terminology is signer. So signer is the user ID or user group that has the authority to approve which workflow step can be run under the run as user ID. And the second terminology is about the workflow step signing process. So that's a simple process that we kind of generate a message digest based on the combination of workflow content. And then we use the dedicated certificate to sign the message digest and then insert the signature into workflow definitions for later verification. So let's check out how the process looks like. The first one is about when you create a workflow definition. This is the place in the workflow editor where you specify the run as user ID and sign user ID or group. And secondly, once you specify the signer user ID, all the signers need to sign the workflow step in the workflow editor. So basically, we kind of class the workflow content and the certificate owned by the ZOSMF server ID, and then generate a signature which will be inserted into workflow definition. And lastly, when you create a workflow instance, we are going to verify if the signed step is valid so that nobody can modify the step already being approved. Okay. And also, there are some prerequisites if you would like to adopt this function. So most importantly, you can use the sub to control who can be the run as user or who can be the signers. So this provides you the access control determine which users can take advantage of this enhancement. So next enhancement about workflow is the policy-based workflow archive. So there are two problems we would like to address. And the first one is about the archive workflow space issue. So previously, archive workflows can only be dumped to the USMF data file system. So over time, that could create the space issue of the USMF data file system or management issue, because if there are multiple teams that are creating their own workflow definitions, you might want their own workflows saved in their own parts. So that's the first problem we would like to address. And then the second problem is about, previously there is only workflow owner himself can access the icon to workflow. So if the workflow owner, let's say, retires, the archive workflow will no longer be accessible. So our solution is, includes two parts. The first part is to allow user to define the policy that can automatically archive workflows to specify the parts. And the second part is that the archive workflows can now be accessed by a group of users instead of individual design. So this is how it works, right? So when you create a workflow instance, you can specify a group ID here, and when you define some policy in the workflow panel, we allow you to specify the identifier, which is the staff group ID specified earlier. And also you can define when to archive the workflow definition and where to archive the workflow archive the workflow instance too. So with that capability, you should be able to manage all the archived workflows by, for example, multiple teams. And we also enhanced our workflow engine to support the cross-sysplex communication with basic authentication. So previously, if you would like to use workflow for cross-sysplex communication, you need to enable a single sign-on, which creates some additional effort before you start to do cross-sysplex workflow communication. Now with basic authentication, the get started experience should be easier. And we also improved the workflow user experience. The first one is about displaying the creation time, for the workflow instance, so that you can, for example, sort all the workflow instances by creation time. And the second one is about the increased work area for workflows. So the major part of workflow instance is all the steps, right? So these are the workflow metadata. So now we added support so that you can collapse the whole workflow metadata area. And we also support you to search the keywords from workflow step content instead of only from the workflow step title. We also added the enhancement for workflow editor. So the first one is about supporting Pony REST API step. So REST API step is a workflow step type that is able to drive REST APIs from workflow. But if there is any REST API that could take a long time to complete, you don't need to manually create a polling logic on your workflow definition. We now support a built-in feature that could polling the step for you. And the second one is about several user experience enhancements for workflow editor. You can use a parse selector to select the workflow definition, and we support the test function that you can open a new workflow instance for you to test the under development workflow definition. And we also support you to do multiple division on the step library. So with that, I'm going to introduce the last part, which is USMF management, improvement. The first thing is about validate the security setup of USMF nucleus. So earlier I introduced that you can leverage the security configuration assistant plugin to validate all the security requirements. However, when you do the initial ZOSMF setup, or sometimes ZOSMF UI suddenly cannot be accessed. You will be able to leverage this function because you could use the SCA capability to validate the security setup of ZOSMF nucleus without having to start ZOSMF. So basically, we should sample JCL, so you can submit this job to validate the security setup of ZOSMF nucleus, and all the detailed report will be contained in the job log. The second thing is about the remove dependency of SIEM for ZOSMF plugin. So apparently this can significantly simplify the technical stack of ZOSMF WM. And next is about ZOSMF configuration trial. So basically, ZOSMF configuration is always a hot topic. So therefore we created two new trial scenarios that specifically focus on ZOSMF configuration. So you can use these trials to set up a ZOSMF nucleus from scratch, and also the second scenario supports you to set up a second ZOSMF for DevOps purpose, for instance. Right? So next is about ZOSMF build. I'd like to hand it over to our product manager.
Better? Okay. Hi everyone. Yep, so now time for my plug of the ZOSMF Guild. I've definitely seen some familiar names and faces so far this week, and I see a few in the crowd here that I know are regular attendees of the ZOSMF Guild, but if you're not familiar, the ZOSMF Guild is an initiative that the ZOSMF team started about a year and a half ago now, where we host monthly web sessions and do deep dive technical sessions. We bring in different subject matter experts to cover a variety of ZOSMF-related topics. These sessions are open to anyone who wants to join. There are no NDA required. So our goal with these sessions is really just to, engage directly with our ZOSMF community. We want our users to have a place to discover new features that they might not know about or that are new. Learn more about the platform, whether you're brand new to ZOS or you're well experienced, as well as to share their experiences and their challenges with other users and directly with us, the ZOSMF team. We read every comment we get of these sessions, so we really appreciate the feedback we get, the good and the bad. It helps us determine what direction we want to take the platform. You can see we've had over 20 sessions already, some of which are listed here. And we've also invited some speakers from other companies to come to the Guild and talk about their experience and their support of ZOSMF. So, long way to say, if you haven't already, I highly recommend you check out the ZOSMF Guild. You can type the blue link here, or you can just Google ZOSMF Guild and it'll bring you to our homepage. You'll find the Guild homepage, you'll find all of each session, all of the recordings, all of the presentation materials are already up there for you to rewatch, for you to access. Our next session is next week, so you can go to that page to register and get on the invite list for all future sessions. And yeah, if you are already a member of the Guild, and if you have any feedback or any ideas that you want us to cover at the Guild, we always want to hear it. Please feel free to talk to Joey, myself, Rolando here throughout the week. Feel free to stop us, give us your ideas. Hope to see you at a future ZOSMF Guild session.
So by the way, how many of you already attended ZOSMF Guild? Okay, thanks. So for the rest of you, as Bruna mentioned, it's highly recommended that you join us monthly. It's a monthly event. We already received many positive feedback about this Guild event, so highly recommended you join. Okay. So a quick summary, right? So I introduced a lot of enhancements. They are about the web UI-based plugin enhancements, the REST API-based enhancements, and also our enhancements to workflow engine. And we also introduced several updates about the ZOSMF management improvement itself. So those are some useful links, including ZOSMF one-stop hub, ZOSMF trial scenarios, and also a chart, which is in the value proposition. which explains all the unique value by the USMF plugin. And also, besides of the plugin session that I mentioned in the beginning, we also have three great types of USMF session, which includes the USMF lab session. So there is one right after this session, and I will be there, Mona will be there. There are several USMF SME will be there to answer your questions during your USMF lab. So you're welcome to join these lab sessions. And we also have customer sessions. Okay, so with that, thank you all for your listening, and I guess I have enough time to answer questions.
Sounds great. We have plenty of time for questions. Thank you very much, Joe. One mention about the lab, we have 17 USMF labs to pick from. So it's not just one. You go in there and you smorgasbord of 17 labs. Any questions? I'll bring the microphone to you. Good. Can we get you first because you're closest home?
First of all, thank you for all the work you're doing. Second of all, so when you show changes to CFRM policies, workflow management, today typically CFRM, we document our changes in the text of their workflow manager, we tend to put a note into the family-based system. How would I document things through this, or would I, let's say for my CFRM, just after I save it, maybe exactly, just go back and update my text file?
Yeah, so I think firstly you could leverage the import function, right? If you would like to do that offline, once you've done editing, it's still imported into CFRM policy editor. And secondly, we don't support kind of comment function or note function in CFRM policy editor today. However, we already noticed that. We already heard that feedback. So yeah, that's some good feedback.
All right, next. You don't want it? Oh, well, please do that.
What I'm interested in, I like what you presented, and I'm particularly more into the system side, everything looks great there, but is there a capability, when you use the ZOSMF, will they have the capability to communicate with other ZOSMF? For example, like grabbing that data to allow us to analyze that data, to kind of fine tune the environment. We have massive amounts of LPARs that it entitles us to look at their data and kind of fine tune those environments. We have close to 500 LPARs.
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure if I follow the question, but it all depends on what kind of data you would like to retrieve from the systems.
So, for example, I saw you illustrated you bring up a policy.
I'm sorry?
I saw you bring up a policy.
Yeah.
Is there a way to extract that and kind of centralize that? In other words, take all your ZOSMF data and have it centralized so that we look at it as a report.
Yeah, so for SysPass management plugin, right, it supports multiple SysPass functions. So that means you have a centralized place to view all the managed SysPass, so you can work on all the data from the same place.
How about multiple systems?
It's supported today in SysPass management. So the steps is that firstly you need to define that topology in the USMF systems table, right? That includes how many SysPass you would like to manage through the USMF. And also we have discovery ability that would help you to discover those kind of topology information automatically. So once you've done the topology configuration in the USMF systems table, then you open SysPass management plugin, it will show you all the information about the managed SysPass in one place.
It's there, go try it. It's good. You got it. Back here. You saw it.
In the CFRM policy update that you have in there, at least in the screenshot, I might not have seen it because I haven't been the best, But the unit of measurements for the size of the structure, you know, K or MB, like, can you choose that in there, or do you have to type it out when you're defining the or updating the structure? So like if it was like, you know, like 400,000 K or 45 megabytes, you know, is it like a drop down menu, or do you actually have to just put the unit in there? Does that make sense?
I'm sorry that I didn't follow that question. You should did you follow that question?
You can definitely specify the units. You can definitely specify the units in logical unit sizes, K, A's, J's, et cetera. I don't remember if it's a drop down or it's type of text.
That's fine.
If that's what you mean.
It is a drop down.
I know, a really good place to go explore with that, right after this session.
Yeah.
You can log on and try it out yourself. Other questions, these have been really good, seems like there's a lot of interest in this one, so I like it, which is great. Questions on this side of the room? Frank, of course. The lab is running right now on the 2.5 system because 3.1 is not GA. So it's running on 2.5. So the next share will have it on 3.1. This one's on 2.5. But Joey, I mean, you want to mention a little bit about rollback because you talked about a lot of stuff, a lot of this was.
Yeah, a lot of them has already been rolled back to 2.5. So including all the updates I mentioned for sysmax management, but for the CF side, today it's only available in 3.
Orlando. Try that out.
Anything else?
Any other questions? Oh, no.
He said there.
Oh, you go. Okay, then back to you.
Do you have 3.1 in the booth downstairs to show people live?
I don't think we have COS in the booth downstairs. I think it's just a plexiglass machine, isn't it? I believe so. You want to see something on 3.1? What do you want to see on 3.1? Okay. Fair enough.
Oh yeah. No.
Repeat customer.
Yeah, no, it's alright. So just to make sure, so everything that had a card number in your slide, that's gonna get rolled back, or no?
I mean, most of them, I mean, as long as you see a part number, next to the function title, that's already been rolled back to 2.5. So there is only, a few functions. Sometimes it's big functions that are only available in 2.1.
Okay.
Sorry, we got a couple more minutes. Any more questions?
Is there a consolidated APAR PTF cross-reference for all of the enhancements in COS? Is there something on the website?
Yeah. We'll talk about it.
Yeah. So we have a new function APAR list table, in the IBM support website. Although that's not updated in real time, sometimes it's a couple months later, but still you can view all the USMF new functions by, for example, APAR number, create time.
I'm going to do a shameless plug for the new function APARs across the entire stack of ZOS. I'm talking about the entire stack, UI, and including ZOSMF functions are out on the internet today. And you can download it in a spreadsheet, you can sort and slice and dice however you want on the ZOSMF ones. And all you have to do is Google ZOS new function APARs. If you Google that, it'll be the top hit. It'll give you a spreadsheet of every new function APAR in the past, I think, 5 years ago. And it's across the entire stack. And then it'll be in a spreadsheet, you can slice and dice, KXMQ, catalog, whatever your heart's desire. That's how I found it. From Joey. Any other questions?